I have got some skills, you know. I have more than one talent.
Well, we'll just advertise that right here on this show that Barry has
Oh, sure.
multiple
Good for
talents.
me.
Send him a private message if you want to know what they are.
Anyway, getting back on track.
Yes, this is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and podcast #1 Internet Singles Talk Network. And this is Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Christine. We're back for more fun and games.
This is really, yeah. We're going to see how lighthearted we can make this subject.
It'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah. So lots of people, I think even more after COVID, because we got locked down and you couldn't even see your friends and family, the people who you normally saw, and then trying to find a place to go even see where there are other single people there. Or if you had met somebody online, where are you going to go meet them?
Right.
So loneliness became such a hard thing in so many people's lives. I think people that hadn't even felt lonely before started having shades of it. And then people that were already having a challenge with feeling lonely, it just overwhelmed them like a big wet blanket.
Yeah.
And so feeling lonely, I think, is what made a lot of people start feeling tired of being single. I think that it brought it even more to the forefront of, gosh, I don't have anybody. And how long has it been since I had somebody? And all my friends have somebody. That's another thing that comes up if we start comparing ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
So then you think, I'm just going to start dating. I'm going to put myself on a website. I'm going to put myself on a dating app because I'm tired of being single. I'm just tired of being lonely. I'm tired of being frustrated. I'm starting to even have that other word, desperate.
Mm-hmm.
And in your and my world, those are usually the really big reasons to not date.
They are the massive red flags.
No, because we won't see them. We won't notice them. We'll look past so many things that we maybe wouldn't have before because we're feeling so sad and so empty of not having another person in our life. We're just tired of being single.
That was the word I was going to use about being empty. It's like they want to be filled up somehow. They want to find something else. And the thing is, this topic's going to be unpacked quite as we go into the show. But two directions I know we're going to talk about is one, that when you decide to start dating, are you in the right place, in the right mindset, the right heart set, the right beingness to be dateable, first of all? And the second part is going to be, because you haven't dated for a long time, or because you've been single for a long time, or whatever that reason is why you're now tired and you want to start dating, is, are you looking through clear eyes and your discernment about who you're going to choose, and choosing to be single rather than date somebody, in quotes, bad for you?
Yeah.
So those two areas are kind of key components, because this thing about choosing, are you ready to date? You know, it's like saying you're tired of being single and you want to start dating again is like backing into it. It's not doing it from a place of positive intention.
No.
So yeah, we should unpack this.
Such an important point. It really is, because, you know, one of the things, and it's interesting how many clients are bringing it up without me doing it first, is, would I date me? Am I really the kind of person that somebody would want to date? Because one of the things I have them work on is, what do you bring to a relationship? Yes. Why should somebody go out with you? Why are you a catch? Because you really are. I'm not sure that you know it. And if you don't know it and don't appreciate it, then how the heck will the other person? And even if they do see it, you're not going to believe them.
Right. Oh yeah, there's layers and layers and layers to this one.
I kept thinking, we have so many directions, and it's not like we haven't talked about this subject before, but I thought it gave us such a really good different angle to come at it. And, you know, we're always frustrated at the end. We have so much more to say. So this is going to give us a place to really talk about this whole other bunch of sides that we haven't been able to really dig into before. About, it doesn't mean you're ready. You have to decide, are you ready? And what would make you ready? And most people don't even know what it's going to take to get ready. So isn't that a great place to start?
I think it'd be a great place to start. It's funny because I did a video a short video on social media put a couple of days ago. People have been liking actually, because I was sitting in the car, it's very casual, and I was just talking about how when we go through breakups and we have post breakup pain, for want of a better description, it's kind of like we put a band-aid around our heart, a bandage around our heart to sort of help it try to heal. And I've said this before, and I think I've said it before on the show, that they said time heals all wounds, which is true for physical wounds, but it's not true for emotional wounds. They just go numb. And so that tide of being single sometimes is from a place where you basically become numb because you haven't resolved, made peace with, healed those emotional wounds, the bandages around your heart that, first of all, mean that you're not actually healed yet. But secondly, by having all this bandage around the heart, it also limits the amount of love you can give, because the heart is now not so much protected as
constricted,
yeah, and restricted. Yes. So that's one of the challenges. So part of this conversation about starting out from the beginning is, have you actually made peace with your last relationship? Have you said, have you made amends if need be? Have you made a choices to say, you know what, I'm not going back to that one? Or you made choices that is an experience I've learned from and I'm moving forward, so I've learned lessons from it? Because there's all this stuff that you can come up with that you haven't even looked back at yet in a good way. And just to be transparent, also for people to know, I've personally been single for 17 years now. So I'm not speaking from a place of saying, oh, don't understand that. I know what being single feels like.
Yes.
Just put that on the table.
Yes. And if you haven't looked at it in this way, what we'll often do is go, well, I'm not going to do that again. Mm-hmm. Okay. Right. Tell me what your plan is. I want to hear your plan. I'm sure you have a great plan. Yeah. They don't have a plan.
No.
And they don't even know exactly what happened. So how can you not do that again?
Right.
So it showed up again, the thing on Facebook recently about the pothole in the road. And I walked down the road and I fell in the pothole, and oh, what a horrible thing. And these people should be fixing it. It's all the road's fault. And then you get out and you go along, and then you come down the same road and you fall in the pothole again, and you're all mad at everybody else. And then you finally fall in the pothole again, and you're like, oh, what did I do to fall in the pothole? Maybe I need to do something differently. And so then the next time you walk around it, and the next time you actually go down a different street.
Exactly.
I know. That's the conscious thought to go,
yes.
What was my part?
Mm-hmm.
Even if they were the worst person in the whole world, there are evil, horrible, awful people in the world. It's a small percentage around us generally, but they're there.
Right.
Why were you with them? Mm-hmm. Why were you attracted? Why did you let them be mean to you? I mean, this is not to pick on you. This is to go, this is how you don't do this again. You go, why did I do it before?
In fact, to illustrate that one, I was talking with a client recently about going through basically, well, she had a really narcissistic marriage she was in. She wasn't a narcissist, her partner was. And she really had to look at the fact that even though he manipulated, controlled, and really, I won't say destroyed her almost in the relationship emotionally, because that's how narcissists work behind closed doors, she was willing enough and brave enough, which is the biggest part of the work in a sense, to look back and see what her role was in attracting him in the first place, and also what kept him there.
Yep. So
that she can actually go, you know what, I'm choosing to rewire that with my help, change that behavior, so that no longer happens. So when she goes to meet somebody else, because the thing is, she said when she met the guy, she had no idea he was a narcissist. Mm-hmm. And of course, narcissists don't have a big billboard above their head saying, look at me, I'm a narcissist. They come in very covertly that way. They present all these behaviors that look so wonderful and so, anyway, it's not a story for a narcissistic show. But the premise is that she looked at, first of all, what she was not aware of, what she was blind to, and two, how she let herself go into that trap, so to speak, eyes open. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing, is when she became aware, it's like, oh my God, I realized that I didn't look. I saw, but I didn't look, sort of thing. It's like she was aware of it, but didn't choose to respond to it. So now she's got a whole new toolkit. One, it's like a radar detector for those people, so she won't go near them. But secondly, how to keep herself solidly informed and empowered in herself, so she doesn't fall victim to that.
Yes.
So that's the thing I'm talking about. That's the you're talking about. That's the illustration. Is like you need to do the work, so that whatever didn't work for you in the past doesn't get repeated in the future.
So true. And what you and I emphasize with our lovely clients, because you and I've had a lot of clients that came to us after they've really had some horrible treatment by people, both men and women,
Hmm.
horrible treatment, to say, none of this stuff we're going to talk to going on from today is to give yourself a hard time.
Right.
You're not allowed to. I'm writing you a big note. No giving yourself a hard time because you
No
didn't know
beating
any
yourself, beating
better.
yourself up. Yeah.
You didn't know any better.
No.
That's why it happened.
Hmm.
And you still don't know any better, even though you really, really don't want that to happen again. The reason we're working together is so now that you, as Maya Angelou would say, now that you know better, you can do better. And
Right.
you won't have that happen again with these wonderful tools that you say that you offer and I offer as well. Because, it's funny, so off the topic, but my ex-brother-in-law, my sister's ex-husband, loves tools. And so he would figure out something to make just so that he could buy this fancy new tool. Kind of backwards, but we'd end up with cool stuff. But
Oh
this
yeah.
is what you don't even know this tool's out there, but then you find this tool and you're like, oh, and then the really magic thing, you and I so get to tell people this, you can use it everywhere.
Yep.
Everywhere. It applies to everything, not just romantic relationships. When you
Yeah.
have that radar, I love that word because I talk about pinging. When
Yeah.
you can recognize it and go, oh, yeah, no, Tai Chi, sending you right by. No, I'm bypassing that hole in the ground. I'm going to take a different street. Not only do you not end up getting that beat up,
Hmm.
you go, hey, look at me now. I've really learned how to do this differently. I know the first few times that happened to me, I was like, wow, it really does feel good to not give yourself a hard time and learn how to do this differently.
Exactly.
So figuring out, why are you single? So we've covered, you've had bad treatment and bad people. There's people who don't want to give up their independence. Be honest about that.
Hmm.
Please be honest about that. Is it that you are afraid about giving up your independence? Is it that you think you can only be in a relationship and give up every ounce of your independence? I mean, it's sad that we make up these things in our head and we move forward with this plan and we don't really think about it or talk about it and go, is this really the right plan for me? Do I really want that result that this plan is going to get me? Or do I even have a plan? Am I just like running them up? So that's what you and I do. We get clarified about, let's talk about why you're here. Let's really figure out why you're here. Where do you think you want to go? And then let's come out with a plan and then watch your face when you go, oh no, that's not what I want at all. Wouldn't you like knowing that before you jump into a relationship?
Absolutely. And I want to add another piece of this because that is definitely about, are you ready? The other part is not so much the independent piece, but there are those people who are feeling like they won't be loved until they get in a relationship, which is the other side of the same coin in a way, which is the fact that they don't accept that being single is healthy. Because sometimes that's the thing. People say they're tired of being single because they feel lonely. They don't feel like they're being loved. Because, and this is the work that I definitely do with my clients, and I know you do too, is really help them build a new relationship with the one in the mirror.
Yeah.
And I've talked about it so many times that it is about the relationship with ourselves that comes first, because that's the one we carry through all relationships. So rather than go looking out there for love because you feel like you're lonely and you don't feel like you're getting what you want, first of all, turn the focus on yourself. Say, how can I take care of myself and really enjoy being with myself in my life? So one, it means I don't need somebody, so I can come across from a much healthier place of attraction and like, versus God, I need that person, which is not healthy. I'm sorry, even though the songs say I need you in my life, that's not a very healthy love song. But then the other part of that too is that when you are exhibiting, embracing, and enjoying your love for yourself and who you are as a person, regardless of male or female, you really own and you. I mean, it comes across as kind of self-assurance and confidence, but really, it's about really lining up with who you are and your values and your morals and your truth, which is great because then that's your radar detector for when you meet somebody if they fit that paradigm. But the second piece of that I was going to say is you become more attractive because you're radiating wholeness. And just to be aware, and you probably know this if you're out in the world looking at people, you can sense when somebody's feeling desperate or needy. I have had to have very firm boundaries with certain women who try to put their hooks in me, to be transparent.
Mm-hmm.
And I could feel that neediness coming from them. And I just realized the price was way too high. I wasn't going to play in that dance. So I had to learn how to lovingly, carefully, but cleanly say, no, thank you, and move on. Because that's the other part, is that being single means you don't want to grab the first relationship that shows up either. So, sorry, back to you. I know you've lots of things brewing now.
Well, it's so the like attracts like.
Yes.
And so if you think about where your barometer is on the tired of being single, lonely scale, then I think you're going to attract people like that, or people that want to take advantage of that. And neither one of those are good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing.
So if you look at who are you really, and it's hard to be honest. I know that. It's kind of easier to talk to somebody who has your best interest at heart and is watching your back and isn't going to give you a hard time, which is so what you and I do with people.
Yeah.
To go, well, let's look where you are and how you got here and what part is really working for you that you don't want to give up. Because you don't want to throw it all out, because that's what we do sometimes. Oh, I'm never going to do that again. Well, then you end up throwing everything out, the proverbial baby with the bathwater. And you don't want to do that, because you don't want to lose if you have a soft part of your personality. You just need to be more discretionary. You don't want to lose the independent part of you. You just have to know how to be receiving. I mean, you can have a chance to give and take a little and have modulation, moderation, and when you're testing out, so that you don't do these extreme things, which is what happens when you get tired of anything. You do extreme things often. We don't ease into something. We don't have an ease about us or in our relationships or trying to have a relationship. We get abrupt. And that is really scary, because I've sure had a few of those, and I'm like, whoa, back off, hun. That's a little, like what you're saying, it's a little much so quickly.
That's the thing, that the being tired of not being single can often come across as being desperate to be in a relationship.
Yes.
And that energy of desperation isn't pretty. No. It isn't attractive. It isn't handsome. It isn't beautiful. It isn't any of those things. It's ugly, because it comes from a place of a void that needs to be filled, and it's not a healthy place to play from. So, yes, you may be tired of being single. Let me say this way. In the title, tired of being single doesn't mean you're ready for a relationship. Tired of being single, there's a gap there. In that gap is where you start saying, let me be okay being single with myself and enjoy my own company. Then you'll be ready to date.
Yes.
That's a shortcut.
Yes. So majority of people, the most common thing I can say for most single people, and across the board, men and women, is we want to care for somebody, and we want somebody to care back for us. Ultimately, we'd like to be in loving, caring, personal relationships. That can't come first. First, we have to figure out, how do we love and care for ourselves? How do we love and care for people in our lives, whether they're our family of choice or our family of origin? How do we make good friends? How do we make really good, solid, have our back, like what we're asking for in our romantic? How do we do that in our friendships, that we have people we know we can really count on? If you don't have that, which I have met a few people, I'm like, well, I think that might be part of the reason you're having a challenge finding a love interest that would do the same thing, because they can't be everything. They really can't. Even the couples I know that are pretty attached to the hip, they still have outside interests. They still have other friends, maybe not as many as not everybody, but they still are not everything to each other.
Right.
So you still need to develop this and nurture this inside of you. And then before you even get to the loving relationship, to get really clear about, well, if I could have it all my way and I could spend a day all my way, what would you do? Because the other person who's going to love and care for you needs to know what these things are. And it's really helpful if you already know and can tell them, so that you can come to them as this filled up. I mean, you still have room for them, but it can't be an empty vessel.
Yes.
So it's such an interesting balance of, how do you fill up your life, but not overfull, like full of I only spend all my time with my grandchildren, or I'm so busy with all my activities. Well, then you aren't going to have time to certainly date and certainly have another person come in, but you can't be completely empty, and I don't know if I've talked about it much, certainly not for a while. I love this analogy that if you ever take a bone dry sponge, you can't pick up anything with it. absolutely nothing, no matter how you try. But if you get it damp, you can clean up anything. You can pick up all the water and the mess and everything. So first you have to get yourself started filling up. You cannot be empty. And I think that that's what happens when people get so tired of being single. They're kind of empty.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. I know the sponge one before, so it's been a while since you shared that one. At least not here anyway in the show. But I think the thing about that also is key, and sort of speaking to what you said, is that the idea being is you need to really focus on what you want to do and your interests and hobbies and things that fill you up and make you joyful that you can do on your own.
Yep.
And as you said, it's like you don't want to get someone who's going to be a mirror of you, who has everything the same as you do. But at least if you know what your core values are, things that are important to you, like your spiritual practice or how you eat, or what your health, your exercise, healthy type things, or social skills are, you find someone that meets some of those levels too. So, for example, if you're a vegetarian, it helps if you meet someone else who's on the same sort of platform as you, someone who's not just an omnivore or
a carnivore like me.
Well, no, there's another term beyond carnivore, because I'm a flexitarian. I eat everything, but it's a term about somebody who only eats meat, like they don't even eat vegetables. So in that context, yeah, one of my friends does that. He apparently lives on it. I don't know how he does it. Anyway, but it is a pure carnivore in that sense. So somebody like that with somebody who's a vegetarian may or may not fit well. But at least if you're on the same common ground with, like the health you keep, like you both exercise the same way, you both love biking, for example, and you both love eating, I don't know, fish, that's a good basis to build something from. But not everything's the same. So, he likes to go with the boys and goes hiking, and she likes to go get manicures with the girls. That's cool. But it's having that understanding where there's something you do together and there's space, because the biggest lesson, one of the lessons I learned in my relationships is suffocation doesn't work in a relationship. So to have separate hobbies that take you away from each other enough, because when you go away from each other, you get more attracted to each other coming back.
Yes.
But the thing is, I didn't know that when I was in some of my dating relationships, a personal experience. I'd be in the relationship thinking that's the most important thing, period. So I spend it in, like, every time I wasn't at work, I was in the relationship. I'm realizing how sickening that was for my partner. Didn't give him space. So a big lesson.
And when you come back, you have things to share that they don't know as much about because they didn't go do it. So you weren't doing everything together, and yeah, you can still talk about it, but it's not the same as bringing something new back. And the other thing is, when you figure out things that you like doing personally that help fill you up, giving back or producing something or something that makes your body feel good or your mind stimulated, there's going to be people there that like that too. So there's a really good way to know that I'm going to be surrounded by people who already know and like this. And maybe I'll find a friend or romantic interest because we're both enjoying the same activity.
Yeah.
So there's another benefit for getting yourself out there off the couch, doing something that's fun, join an activity. The latest thing they wanted to know was, where are the men? I said, cooking classes, dancing classes. There were two other things. Home improvement stores. I think they all should do happy hours. I think Lowe's and Home Depot should do happy hours.
I love that. That's a good marketing. You can sell that to them.
I think it would be such a fun idea. But the cool thing about cooking classes and dance classes is they pair you up, male and female, effortlessly. You don't have to have a conversation. You introduce yourself, but you're talking about the thing you're doing. You don't have to come up with snappy repartee, and nobody knows what they're doing. So you're all in the same boat, and you have this even platform where you can start from. And if you both are learning cooking, well, you both are wanting to learn cooking, or you're both wanting to learn to dance. And so many men tell me they have two left feet, but women just think it's cool that you're out there trying, that you are attempting it. They think it's cool that you're even taking a lesson. And so if you put yourself out there in something that you already know and you want to learn more, or you have no idea anything about it and you're just going to go give it a try, you're going to meet people who are there in the same boat. And it's going to fill you up, and it's going to get you some new brain cells, which is really good. I was listening to this Alzheimer's thing earlier today, and they were talking a lot about making new synapses, how important that is. And who knows who you're going to meet? Oh, and volunteering, because I have a client that
Yeah.
met at a food pantry. They were packing boxes for people that can't afford their own food. Well, they both knew they had a giving heart. They got talking about camping, and poof, they're now in a relationship.
See how easy that is?
I know.
There was
So,
something after
so
you.
stop being part of the being lonely is because you're not having enough going on in your life.
One quick thing, so I'm going to take a break. A little sidebar. You said something earlier about, we talked about you coming home and basically, you're in each other's faces, no space with each other. This is a tip for anybody who's in a relationship with their business partner. Because there are some people who work together and live together. You need to take breaks from each other to spice up the relationship. Not date somebody else. I mean that, but you need to take time apart. Just because I heard in my head somebody think that is that you got to spend time being different and away from each other, so that you can come back, as you were saying, come back with new information, like update each other what happened.
Yeah.
Because the challenge, if you're with each other 24/7, it's not going to be healthy for the relationship. Ultimately, you need to take breaks from each other. Speaking of breaks, we need to take one here. I know. How was that? Was a segue?
That was a really good segue. And disclaimer: Barry is not saying go have an affair. He made that really clear.
We'll come back with some more stuff soon. So after the break.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, give me your ear. I got something for you to hear. Yeah, right here on GoingSoloMedia.com. A new radio show. John Thomas is the host. Mondays, Wednesday, and Friday from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Listen in. Right here, WGSN-DB. GoingSoloMedia.com. Hi, I'm John Thomas. I want to share with you a professional products and services directory we call Going Solo Directory. And you need to check this out. If you want exposure to your business or are seeking professional product or services, this directory has it all. And that membership, for the many special features, you get the benefit of a worldwide exposure with a 40-minute video interview on an international business show showcase. All this for just one low annual fee. For more information, contact GoingSoloDirectory.com.
And we're back.
Those were fun commercials. I like
that first one, like, that's a cool voice that guy's got.
He should be on the radio, don't you think?
I think so, yeah.
Kind of like Barry Selby.
Oh, well, thank you. I'll take that.
So that was really a good point, Barry, about if you are thrown together because you're working together and playing together and living together, how to comfortably take breaks from each other, because you need to have other things to talk about besides the kids and the business and the leaky roof. And you need to have gone out and done another activity, go do another activity together that has nothing to do with any of that would be one thing. And then go do something separately, go with your guy friends and your girlfriends to go do stuff and then come back and talk about it. Yeah. And I think that that is such good advice.
It's interesting.
You don't want to get in a rut.
That's the thing, is that it is tempting to think, and maybe just me thinking this from in the old days, that it would be so much more romantic to spend every moment with my partner and do everything with them the same. I'm so much glad I'm wiser now to know that, yes, doing something together obviously are great, but to do your own thing so that, one, you can clear your own head. Because part of this also is that when you're in a relationship, you get so overlapping, you almost lose track of where you are and where the other person is. Taking time apart to do separate things that are different, especially energetically, can be fun. It gives you a chance almost like to recalibrate back to yourself and get your own, it's like almost filling your battery back up again. Not that you don't get filled up in a relationship, but to fill up on your own is almost as important. So it gives you back yourself to yourself. So as I said, we talked earlier about all the practice to really build up your own self-esteem, self-support, confidence. Those things can really be done more powerfully sometimes when you do things for yourself, independent of the relationship. When you come together, then whams, you both are your best selves, so to speak, which is like retuning the relationship as well. So the side effect of doing the work on yourself is you actually start doing work for the relationship as well, which is kind of cool.
It's so important. And it's, we've gone a little off track, as I usually am the person, and you're bringing me back. This is kind of fun that I get to do this. I've been taking notes. And I think sometimes it's one of the reasons that relationships can end and people are now single again, because they didn't help keep that spark. And, we certainly have talked about sparks in relationships, but this is creating sparks of your own independent interests that you now use to rekindle your relationships. We're going to say it again. You're not doing it with another person romantically. You're inspiring your brain. You're doing something exciting with your body that you can now come back and share with the other person. Go take a karate class, or Krav Maga is the new thing I've heard. Go join. I had even a couple who they went and joined separate pickleball teams. So they weren't playing on the same team, but they were playing the same game, which I thought was kind of clever.
That works too.
So these are all activities you can now take as a single person and get out into the world to not be lonely and have a chance to start getting around other people and meeting them and making sure that you're an interesting person. You need to be an interesting person. I think that that's essential. Do you think you're interesting? If you don't think you're interesting, then the other person's not going to think you're interesting. So what could you do to become more interesting? Take a class, go to a lecture, go to an author thing. And then at least the next time you're around people, you could go, I saw this great lecture. I heard this interesting point. Have you heard about this organization? I mean, it can't hurt.
No, in fact, I would add to that, because this is such a key piece too. Because yes, while you're single, it's a great thing to do this on, because first of all, it does make you more interesting when somebody meets somebody that you're not running out of things to say. Some people I know, again, I know I did this myself, would think to myself when I was a lot younger, when I'll wait till I'm in a relationship to then do these things, which is so counterproductive. So what you were saying, and I underscore this, is that doing these things that excite your brain, your body, your energy when you're single, first of all, it helps you discover what you love to do out in the world. If you don't have any hobbies right now, you don't feel like you can do anything, try new things. Go to a dance class, go to a pickleball tournament, go to something and just go, would I like this? Play with it, have fun with it. Because first of all, you'll find things that you're passionate about, and things you're passionate about make you more passionate, period, which is a good thing to do when you're single. But also when you're in a relationship, presuming you meet somebody after that, which you ideally will, you'll have things you can introduce them to that maybe they haven't done before. So it adds to the relationship as well. So when you're single, it's not the time to sit still and just sit in the corner and put and fold your arms and wait and hope the other person's going to show up and knock on your door and come and take you out. It doesn't work that way, first of all. But secondly, you're wasting your time like being in the standby aisle to get on the plane. It's like, no, get busy doing the things you want to do so you get a front row seat for the relationship you want to have. Because when you are fully enjoying your life, you demonstrate more life to people around you. So you become more noticeable, attractive, and yes, dateable. So this is a big clue here, by the way, because you haven't caught that yet.
Keeping your mind, body active, your interests active, your emotions active. It was funny when you were to the standby aisle that, there was that bunch of planes got canceled because of the weather. And there were all these people. I was talking to friends who were trying to get places. We were texting about being stuck. And I said, so what are you going to do? Let's come up with something to do. So they started a Trivial Pursuit game with the people around them. And they said 3 hours went whipping by, where normally 3 hours would like, oh, it's only been 5 minutes. And so they had a really fun time coming up with, well, if it was the movie from the 1950s, and you're always thinking about, oh, I know that person and they played this part, but what was their name? Well, it was a perfect way to segue to Trivial Pursuit because somebody knew who the star was. And they had a blast with a pile of strangers.
Yeah. This is the thing, is that there's a quote about strangers are just friends we haven't met yet.
Yes.
From way back, and that's the sort of thing, is that you can build connection with almost anybody, really. I mean, some people you may not want to. You obviously clearly there's certain things you can tell about people However, especially waiting in line for a plane, although there is some people start feeling it's like a battle coming on, they've got to fight their way to get to the seat. It's like, no, what if everyone on a plane was a friend of yours? How would you treat them? So that idea of that Trivial Pursuits or some sort of game session, playing cards, having fun, whatever it is with other people you haven't met yet, make new friends.
I always have a game in my bag. I have Uno because it's a little box, or I have a deck of cards. And I've ended up striking up a conversation with somebody next to me, and we've played a game. And so, yeah, and the time just goes whipping by. It's so much more fun. And we've stayed, email friends and Facebook friends because of that, just chatting about, well, this is such a drag that we're both stuck in this. Let's find something else to do.
So that example of being in a situation you have no control over, think how much more fun it would be if you actually have situations you are in control of that you could do these things in. So you can intentionally create connections and friendships and have, Trivial Pursuit nights with new people you met. Why not? I mean, I know you do the meetup group that was virtual online for a long time during the pandemic. Meetup has been sort of made it somewhat invisible over the last couple of years. It's not been as big as it was when it first came out, but Meetup was a great resource to create new circles of friends in person. There's even through social media, the people, there are Facebook groups you can join that meet in person, that go to certain restaurants. There's so much you can do when you're single to add value to your own life, so that when we finally do meet somebody, you don't sort of go, finally, I've met the person I want to be with, because that's not very pretty.
No. But
you can simply introduce yourself to them and then look at you and go, wow, this is an interesting person. Was it the Dos Equis commercial with the guy, the world's most interesting man?
Yes.
What if you became the most interesting person when you meet your special someone and they go, wow, they're so interesting. And ideally they are to you too.
And there's a couple meetups groups out there that are strictly for singles that have like over 15,000 members, 2 of them. And you can, if you get on their list and say the kind of things you're into, you could get 3 emails a list of stuff to do, hikes and bikes. They go on closed trips. They go on international trips. There's a group that if you have passes to Disneyland, they just go, oh, I'm going on Saturday. Who wants to go? And there's like 8 people that didn't know each other except on this meetup group, and they all show up at Disneyland, so they aren't alone. So and dog groups and wine tasting and book clubs. I mean, there is so much out there that because I've said even an introvert, look and see how many members there are. You probably won't be joining the 15,000 one, and look and see how many people have signed up for the meetup. There's always fluctuations. Some people don't go and some people come that didn't RSVP. But if you say, oh gosh, I could do under 10, I could do 5 or 6 people, and even maybe get a friend to go with you so you're not completely alone. But then you're going to make friends when you go. Then go just once or twice and see if you like it, because it's been amazing to have them go, because it's been really scary, I know, and they'll go once and then we'll talk again and they go, I had fun. I go, I'm so glad. More fun than they expected. And they said, and when you're there, ask them other places that they go. And the other introverts there are going to be so glad that you're sitting next to them, because you're not going to pepper them with 14,000 questions like I would. You'll ask them a couple of very insightful questions that'll feel gentle and kind, and they're going to be relieved you're there.
So this is basically
not feeling so lonely.
So this is kind of an introvert meetup session you've got creating here.
I am, because I end up with lots of introverts. It's interesting how many introverts I end up in my practice, and how many suggest, because I have a lot of introverts in my family, and they have taught me well, since I'm an ambivert. I really I swing both ways in this particular area.
I think it's called an ambivert.
Oh, an ambivert. You're right. It's am, not
omnivore, ambivert.
Yes, I was getting confused with my eating prowess. But I'm liking the flexivert or flexivore. I thought that was I'm going to so do that. Yeah.
A friend of mine came out with that. I stole it from her. Her friend Faye, she called it flexitarian.
I'm going to so use it, because I eat everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's even places for introverts, because we talked about how there would never be a networking group for introverts because nobody would go. If they wouldn't talk to each other.
Right.
But meetup's a really good place for introverts. It really is.
Well, the thing about that meetup groups, and one of the good resources there, is because you get to be more selective. If you go to some social event where you don't know anybody, you have no idea what you're choosing to be there. Whether it's going to be introverts, extroverts, good people, bad people, males, female, you don't know. But with a meetup group that's online, you can check and see each of the people there, and go, okay, I feel safe there because the right number of people, the right gender of people, the right energy. You can see the sense of it. So meetup can be a good resource for people who are introverts. I think it makes sense that way.
Yeah, and I said, and usually I say, look at all the things they're a member of. Look and see how few things they're a member of. It's going to show you they're even more of an introvert. They're very selective. They've got 2, maybe 3. I've got 10. But yeah, it's helpful to screen. I think screening is really helpful, especially if you're an introvert, that you need to ease your way into it. That could be one of the reasons you're single, is that you've been so afraid to go out in big groups, and it's overwhelming and draining. And I get that. My family's all explained this to me. So I've now figured out a way to help coach people that they can now go, all right, I could probably breathe at least a little better. I won't hold my breath the whole time if I go. Right. I won't get bombarded by 7 people going, well, what are you doing here? And why did you come? And what's your name and your birth sign? Because that's just too much for them.
It is. So getting back to the topic for a second, so now we're getting close to the end of the show.
Yeah.
Because yes, introverts and extroverts can be single. And I know
I've heard that.
Yeah. And for introverts, it may be harder to meet somebody. I understand that. But let's put this ball back on the pitch, so to speak. Whatever analogy that is.
Cool.
Hey, come through. That the reminders that I want to bring some points home that we started with and talked about through the show is that being single isn't a curse. For many people, being single is the scariest thing because they've not really enjoyed being single before. Doesn't mean being single is bad. So first of all, if you're tired of being single, say you're not doing it right. Yes. But I will say that because, as I said at the beginning, I've been single for 16, 17 years. And there's reasons for that we talked about in other shows. But the thing is, I enjoy my own company. Take myself to movies on my own. Went out last night to a movie on my own. I mean, so I had to bump into people I knew there by coincidence. Oh, surprise. But I didn't go looking for that. I went to go see the movie. So finding things to do when you're alone, whether it is partnership-focused things like cooking, dancing, things like that, or just doing things for yourself, going to movies, going on hikes, doing things where you enjoy yourself, getting exercise or stimulating the mind, going to plays, going to the art galleries. Do things for yourself that you enjoy your time with. You don't need to document it for somebody else. You're doing it for yourself, and you can enjoy yourself. And that thing is what I'm really encouraging people to do, especially if they're doing work with us or not, is find ways to really enjoy your own company so that you find value in being yourself. Because once you find value in your own company and enjoy who you are, somebody else will enjoy that too. Mm-hmm. So then you'll be ready for a relationship, because it was something like being ready to date. It's when you come from a healthy, whole place that you'll be ready.
Yeah. Amen. Amen to that.
Yeah.
Because I really do talk to people who are very content being single. They might want a casual partner now and then. And then I certainly do, they come to me to work that they really, really don't like being single and they want to be in partnership. Okay. Yeah. And still, we do the same thing. We need to get you at least more comfortable being on your own.
Yeah.
Not 100%. I get that. It's not going to happen. You're not going to reach the epitome that Barry has. It's not in your makeup. I got it.
I'm special. Yeah.
You've worked on this so long, and
true. Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
Let's get you less uncomfortable, because that's the thing. I don't want you going, I am just so tired of being single, because you would think that'd be incentive to put yourself out there. It's not always the right energy incentive.
Key. Yeah.
You need to want to go out there because it's going to be fun and it's going to add to your life, and you're going to bring other things to it, not just because you're tired of being single.
Right.
Yeah. It's not enough. It generally isn't enough. And it certainly doesn't mean you're ready to date by any means.
I think we made that point.
It's not the formula.
Right.
I hope so. I hope we've really driven it to home.
Yes. So
if this has been a challenge for you in your life at any point, and certainly currently, Barry and I would be happy to talk to you. And the way to get a hold of me is through my website. Initially, it's www.theperfectcatch.com. And my tagline is learn how to be the perfect catch and then you'll attract the perfect catch. So it fits with this theme very well.
Absolutely.
You can join my email address and my email list, and you can also sign up to have a complimentary conversation with me. You can send me a personal email at Christine@theperfectcatch. You can also reach me on my social media platforms, which is Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter. And now I have a special YouTube channel, thanks to Barry. It's Coach Christine Baumgartner, because I'm not married to Kevin Costner. And
Indeed.
and then I also have one on Instagram that's Coach Christine Baumgartner.
Cool.
And how do people reach you, Barry?
Mine's a little simpler because I just have my name. I'm not using any company names. I know yours is very special because you have all these layers.
I'm getting very complicated.
So I have a website too, which is my name, barryselby.com. And on my site, on the homepage, you got two options. One of which is to join my email list, which is at the bottom of the screen. If you go at the top of the screen, there's an option saying take the next step. Or take your first step. I think it's take the next step, which you actually can book a mini session with me. And we can actually do some work in the first time we talk. And you can see if you like working with me, and we can then go from there. Also on my site, I have a book, online courses, a few other things as well. And on social media, you can find me on all the platforms. My name is my handle on all the social media platforms except for Instagram. Instagram is the real Barry Selby, but everything else, so YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Clubhouse, Pinterest, are all Barry Selby. So you can find me there as well. And definitely on YouTube, which I did mention, YouTube is my platform. I have tons of videos on there, and my channel is Barry Selby on YouTube. So easy to find me, including this show. Lots of other things I'm doing. I've done a lot of videos over the years, so you can actually binge watch my stuff for about a week and a half.
You really could. You do have lots of material.
Yes.
And we're here live every week on Thursday at 1 o'clock Pacific and 4 o'clock Eastern and all the times in between. We love when you watch us live, and we love when you share our videos with other people that you think might be having challenges. And please send us any comments you have about our shows or any questions you'd like us to answer on future shows.
Please do, yeah.
Yes, and we'll be back again.
I'd love to hear from you what you thought of this conversation, if this resonates for you, or if you have any questions or challenges with this, because frankly, this topic's got some juice to it, I know. Actually, most of our shows do, but this one especially did.
It really did seem like we could poke at a lot of things that might be troubling people, especially right now in the world. Well, we are very topical.
Yes, we like to be.
Yes. So we will see you all next week.
Look forward to it. Take care of yourselves.
Bye for now.
Bye. Are we leaving? I think we are.
I thought so. We could talk some more, you know us.
I guess we could, yeah. We don't have a limit on what we can talk about.
Yeah.
CC, are we done?
I don't know.
We don't have a close button. She says a close button. We don't.
I know. But she said she was having some internet trouble, so maybe they're causing her a headache again.
Maybe so. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess we can close out as we leave the studio ourselves.
Oh, maybe. Do we just do that?
I think so, because I don't think she's able to close us out.
Oh, just close out. Okay. Bye.
All right.
See you next week.
See ya.